So we do this mixed reality fireside chat, and I would start with sharing a bit of my journey with View and talking about our view on sustainability and transparency. And when I look at our start of View in 2013, this is what we saw, right? We saw a prescription eyewear market that is around 80 billion globally, 30 billion in Europe, 1 billion in Switzerland, and it is super fragmented in the distribution, and it's super consolidated in the production of frames. I'm pretty sure all of you guys know Ray-Ban and Oakley, but I'm not sure whether you guys know that there is one company behind it, Luxottica, that produces all that. Right? So this is what ultimately led us to look at that market deeper, because the prices were pretty high, and we wanted to change that. We wanted to redefine how eyewear is being looked at. And this is when we started View. So we essentially found that also from a personal perspective, eyewear shopping was pretty medical, pretty boring, not fashion at all. It wasn't fun, right? So we set out to do two things. To bring together, on the one hand, an amazing product. So we co-founded View with two designers that did already produce eyewear at a very high level. We then partnered with manufacturers in Italy and Japan on the frame side and added lenses from Switzerland and Germany. And then the second one is we clearly wanted to offer a price that was disruptive, that was very different from what you could see in the market. And we did that by cutting out the middleman, by owning everything from the design of the frames to the end customer, ending up at 195 Swiss francs compared to a market price of around 600 Swiss francs, or in Germany around 400 Swiss francs. So this was the starting point, building premium products at fair prices. And then very quickly, as Marcus said, we ended up building stores, which initially we didn't intend to do, but then we clearly found that for this product in particular, and I think this is true for many areas of the future of retail, combining these worlds into a seamless omni-channel experience will be key. And these stores, this is an example of our store in Vienna. Each store is different by design, but it still contains the View DNA. And what I think is really amazing, it's much more than a point of sales. It's a point of experience. It's a point of brand immersion. So this is the world that we are creating in 48 stores in the DACH region today. Well, and clearly, customer happiness is the beating heart of hopefully every business, and we try to sort of celebrate that. So we focus very much on Net Promoter Score. We typically are at around 82 or higher. And what this KPI does to us is it helps us to understand whether we most probably create fans that will spread the word. So every second purchase at View is a fan that actually talks to a new customer and brings us a new customer into the store. And then also, I mean, that's a startup thing, right? I mean, you don't have tons of marketing money. We are creating stories, and we have been very lucky to sort of have gained the media visibility that helps us to propel View forward, that helps us to also gain access to the relevant segments that will be the future customers and lead customers for us. Now, moving a bit to the topic of transparency and sustainability, what you see here is our first production partner in the Italian Dolomites. And what we believe modern brands will need to do, they will need to be able to talk about where do the products come from. It's much more than just a big logo sticker that you have on any product, but to tell a story that is behind it. And we embraced that from the very start, right? We wanted to talk about this amazing production facility that is second generation, family owned, in the meanwhile producing more than 50% of their production for View only, right? I mean, this is, I think, what the future customer will care much more about to understand. And it is very powerful. And when we think about sustainability, we think about mainly three dimensions. So on the one hand, being disruptive, using materials that maybe were not there, that help us to be better. And we embraced, as one of the first ones, 3D printed very early. So we launched our first collection a few years back, which enables customers to go into a store, to have a frame style chosen, and then the size adapted to their faces. You can choose the color, and then we print it for you. The big advantage clearly being that there is significant waste reduction and also less stock. On being clean, here we are talking about making very conscious choices about who we actually partner with. And I mean, for us, the prerogative was we producing where the best frames are being made. Now, working with Italian partners means that we pay 3 to 4 times as much as we would in China, but it also means that we have very short supply chains. And then lastly, being circular and low waste, we decided to partner with a company called Shades of Love a few years ago, which enables, at least for the sunglasses part, that there is a prolongation of the life cycle of the sunglasses where people are using them in the Himalayan region to protect their eyes. So this is where I would say we started very early to embrace that. And now let me talk about what's to come. So here, what you see is our new Archetypes 2.0, which we will launch in Q1 next year. So after a bit of COVID drawback in the pipeline, now this is actually coming together, and I'm very excited to see that go live and how people respond to it. Right? It is a product that is ultimately much better fitted to any customer's face, very flexible, but also very much more environmentally friendly than any other production material you could have. And then another thing is coming together. And here, our acetate collection, which is the high-end plastic. So you need to have that. But I mean, what is changing now is that there is a new material coming live, which will help us to move from 45% biological content to 96%. So we will embrace that, clearly, right? And we will try to move over our acetate collection into this world, which is a significant step up from what we could access before. So also very excited about that. And then thirdly, beyond Shades of Love, we will try to experiment a bit with what are options that we can actually embrace on the optical side. What can we do with our optical collection? So we will test drive and concept around there next year as well. So in sum, we believe that actually with View, we are at a very early stage of our opportunity still. I mean, clearly Corona, if you had stores, that was a drawback. But I mean, we hope that next year we will start our engines again and capture that opportunity that we see out there. So in a couple of years, selling more than 300,000 frames a year, earning significantly attractive gross margins, 80% plus, inspiring customers with an NPS of 85 or more, and clearly also a sizable revenue base. So this is what we set out, and I mean, we partnered with 8 Roads a couple of years back, who have been part of our journey. So I'm handing over to you, Michael.
Thanks, Kilian. Can you guys hear me okay? Sounds like a yes. Well, it's very good to see everyone. Sorry I couldn't be there in person. I'm a partner at 8 Roads Ventures. We're a global venture capital firm started about 50 years ago in the US. And today we're quite global with teams in London, where I am, India, Japan, China, and the US, of course, working with about 250 portfolio companies, of which View is one, and managing about 8 billion of assets. And just really briefly, I would say, when I joined the board of View and the journey to it, fundamentally, we look to back consumer companies that are able to really become champions in large markets. And examples include companies like Alibaba, Atari, Kazoo, Chewy, May.com, and so on. And when we first met with Kilian and the team, we were really excited by a few things. I mean, clearly, it's the size of the market. It's the must-have nature of the product. People buy eyewear on an ongoing basis because they have to, as well as the fragmented nature of the market that Kilian alluded to. And we thought it was really fascinating looking at the market and the dynamics. So there are really 2 camps. There are players like Fielmann that most in the audience probably know that really lead with price and forget about design. And then on the other side, there are brands like the Chanel's and Armani's of this world that clearly lead with design, but really set price aside on all, as Kilian mentioned, or for the most part owned by one large company that really just puts the labels on their plastic. And so we were looking for something in the middle that really caters to the consumer with a value proposition of design and price, but also is able to connect with the customer where they want to shop, which is today clearly omni-channel. It's online and it's in store. And so Vue checked all of these boxes, and of course we love the team. Kilian, let me maybe ask you a few questions. Clearly the topic today is sustainability for you guys. You mentioned a few initiatives that Vue is working on. Who is driving those? Is it management? Is it consumer expectations?
So I would actually say it is as much management as it is the consumer expectations, and I would add a third one, that is our people, right? So I mean, if I think about Vue as an employer, there is clearly an inside-out demand of our employees to sort of move forward on this front, right? To make change happen and to have a positive impact. I mean, talking about purpose, right? I think this is something that is as much inside out as it is outside in, with consumer expectations changing.
Got it. And when you say that consumer expectations are changing, just talk a little about what has that meant specifically in the few years that you guys have been in the market, and what role does transparency play?
So I think transparency is critical if you believe that the big sticker, just product on it, is sort of like an going out of the window model. And we have seen that. I mean, 2013, it was maybe a smaller segment, but it clearly has also gone mainstream, right? That responsibility that you have for being transparent or being able to be transparent. And then I would also say that what has been changing is, or what will change is that right now you can differentiate positively. You can stand out by being transparent, by focusing on sustainability, by doing the right thing. In a couple of years, I'm pretty sure you will be penalized if you don't, right? So that will be a change where you actually come from a positive differentiating factor to a penalty. So clearly, that is also another thing that every company should consider.
Makes sense. And I guess on that point, Kilian, if you just take a step back and you think about sustainability, for a consumer brand like Vue, how much of it is a differentiator versus table stakes? Where are consumer expectations today?
Well, I mean, I would hope that actually the story that we tell will help or is helping us to differentiate, right? I mean, clearly the core is delivering an amazing product at a very fair price. But to sort of be able to tell a story that touches customers emotionally, that actually is very much the right thing to do, for me, that is yes, it is still very much a differentiator.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think, and we talked about this, I think storytelling, of course, is at the heart of all of this. Maybe from a management perspective, who in the company should be driving sustainability? Should it be an individual person, team? Is it a cross-functional initiative? How do you think about that?
So it clearly needs to be cross-functional, and it needs to start with me, right? I mean, so I have to be the champion of this. I mean, also a company of our size, we are around 400, 350 employees, right? I mean, it needs to be handled and sort of pushed by me. But then it spreads out into all areas of the organization, and this is where you need good cross-functional teams that actually are driving this forward, because it touches essentially all areas, right? So there is not one department that can lead that through, but you have to have ownership in the different areas of the organization.
Makes sense. And maybe, Kilian, final question, a few years out, I mean, where do you see Vue from a sustainability angle? What are you excited about from some of the initiatives that you mentioned?
So I mean, clearly, I hope you could feel this. I mean, 3D printing is a great opportunity in this market, in this particular product, right? I mean, the technology will change. I mean, there are some limitations today, but I expect that this also will then, there will be some mind-boggling changes that we don't know yet in the next couple of years to come in terms of technology, enabling us maybe to print transparent materials better, to print what you actually have today with acetate, which is fantastically depth of the material. And ultimately, I mean, what we're solving here is building the best product for our customers by making it very much a customized experience that is more eco-friendly than what you could do before. So I think that is one of the biggest opportunities that I would say will shape the future of this eyewear market and also our future.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Kilian. Really appreciate the time.
Bye, Michael. Thank you, everyone.